everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And Brandon and I are going to tell you how we felt about the Harley Quinn pilot. This just dropped yesterday on DC Universe, and I made Brandon watch this, and he didn't even know what he was coming in on. I thought
nothing. I didn't know it was DC. I didn't know it was Harley Quinn. I didn't know it was this new
raunchy.
thing.
You didn't.
That was a big surprise.
How super violent it was. You didn't know anything about it. And on a whim, I decided to play this for Brandon because I was going to shoot a video by myself. I watched this last night, but it was real late, and I felt like there were pieces of it I was kind of forgetting because I watched it in kind of a haze, and I was like, I need to watch it again. So I was going to do that anyway. And then Brandon was coming over to hang out and do something different, and I was like, this is 20 minutes. I wonder if I can get Brandon to watch it with me.
Of course.
And I thought you would be a cool person to bounce off of for this because, this is more your thing than mine in that you like kind of like dark adult raunchy cartoons. Brandon's a big Rick and Morty fan. And I don't know other things like that you watch. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched Archer or any of those kinds of shows.
I've watched some Archer. I'd love to get more into Archer, but yeah, that's a good one.
And you're not a big comic guy and Batman guy, and so I thought it would be kind of interesting to get your perspective as a person that doesn't know as much about like the lore and background of this stuff as I do, but the flavor of this is more for you than it is for me.
Right.
And I was a little bit concerned about talking about this by myself because I'm like, the sign flip for me on this, I'll just right away say is really, really difficult because I think what this is doing it pretty well for the audience that is there for this, but it's not my cup of tea. It's not my thing at all. Yeah, and I found this extremely off-putting and didn't like it at all on first watch. And sitting down and watching it again with you, I was starting to appreciate it more and kind of seeing, okay, I sort of see what we're doing. So I think this whole video is just going to be me doing this.
Okay, twirling your sign.
Yeah, because spinning my wheels. The answer to are you feeling it for this for me is I really want to. And I think this show has a lot of potential, and I'm hoping
it'll grow on you if you keep.
That's what I'm hoping, and I hope that the like raunchiness and the crudeness of it, because I get that like that's what it is. It is essentially female Deadpool without the fourth wall breaking. And I don't like Harley Quinn being that. We've been doing that a lot with her in comics lately, where she's kind of just female Deadpool. And I don't want that. And yet, I think this particular take on that could maybe turn me around a little bit. And I'm hoping that just like I said, the raunchiness and the crudeness is stuff that I have to kind of just adjust to. And it won't just rely on it as the novelty the whole time. Because my biggest complaint about this is just, it could be cleverer, and I'm hoping it gets more clever, and I feel like it's trying to be so shocking in a world where this stuff is not shocking anymore.
Okay, sure.
And so it's like, look at us, we have no censors, we can say anything we want to, we can do anything we want to, and it's like, Titans did that already on DC Universe, now this is doing that, and I think it's got more of a specific, like sure identity. And it's real confident about itself, and it knows what it wants to be. But I also feel like it's leaning really hard on F-bomb every other word. Isn't that funny?
So, not having known anything about this from what it was about, I didn't know it was DC, didn't know they were going to swear. When I got the first F-bomb, I was like, first of all, I saw that it was DC. It came up on the screen. I was like, okay, we're doing DC. And then I saw, we were doing something with Harley Quinn and Joker. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And we got the first F-bomb, and I'm like, what? Like, okay, I'm more interested now than I already was. So I kind of took it like that. But I felt that, not knowing that Teen Titans had done something similar, or that we're doing something similar like this with the comics, for me, coming into this just with nothing, it felt like a better take on what might actually go on behind the scenes if this were reality. If that makes sense. Because I have felt for a long time that stuff's just been too clean in some areas. I'm like, there's no way that some of these people are operating the way they are and getting foiled the way they are without dropping some serious, swears.
You're right, and a lot of the comedy does come from that, where it's like,
Yes.
what would people be saying behind closed doors? And would you agree that this is... Because you said reality, like, obviously this is extremely heightened
Yes,
and, like,
exactly.
extremely silly, but you're right, there's, like, this kind of mundanity about it.
There's a realism to the dialogue, in a way,
That's-
that you
yeah.
don't get to some other things because
that's
they're
what I have
playing
to
it for a
adjust to.
particular audience. Yes.
Where it's like, is it just trying to shock me with constant swearing, or is it saying, like, this is the cynical world we live in now and let's satirize that?
As someone who considers themselves an eloquent swearer, as I do in my regular life, I would say that they've used it. They didn't there's a way to oversaturate this type of thing, but as far as the pilot goes, I felt that it really drew me into what this is probably going to be. I hope they tone it down a little bit,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I appreciated what I was getting out of this because I felt that it actually enhanced the flavor of the language coming from these supervillains.
So do you think maybe they need to, like...
And even from the other characters, Batman and the way that they portrayed Commissioner Gordon.
That's the funniest thing in the show.
Oh my goodness! I was laughing.
And I will say,
so hard.
this humor is really hit or miss for me. There's a lot of stuff that, again, some of this is taste issue, and when you review a comedy, a lot of it is just, did you find it funny or not, right?
Certainly.
It's
not for everyone.
It's not for everybody, and I do appreciate that this is a really absurd farce, but there is a particular internal logic, and it does feel like there are kind of maybe going to be rules to this universe. So, like, that's good, but I thought a lot of the stuff that inherently must be funny for you to enjoy the show through and through, I just don't find funny. Like, a lot of the potty humor and, like, throwing up on screen and like, drinking bodily fluid jokes and stuff like that just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, that last joke you just mentioned, it was kind of funny, but I can understand where that's pushing a line.
Well, that's one of those things where, like, intellectually I get why people think that's funny, but it just doesn't do anything for me, right?
Sure.
So, again, so much of this is taste issue. But Commissioner Gordon is the funniest joke in this.
He really is.
It's a really amusing running gag where he's, like, at his wit's end and he's up on
possibly
coffee all the
drunk
time
or on,
and
like,
probably,
high on caffeine.
He's definitely high on caffeine. He might also be drunk, and he's kind of lost his mind.
Yeah,
and
it's so funny.
That's
He's
really
like,
funny.
wait, stay outside. He's like, yeah, sorry, I'm off
just
topic.
keeps turning the light on and off, the
bat
signal,
signal, yeah.
and he like keeps derailing himself, where somebody will bring up just kind of like a
goes on
mundane
tangents.
life rant, and it'll piss him off. It'll just start like running off with himself. I think that might be the joke that keeps on giving and might never get old. That's really funny.
Think about it though. Wouldn't the police commissioner in this kind of heightened reality really just be at his wit's end?
That's the thing is that it's kind of taking things that you have to take for granted in comics and in superhero stuff and make a conceit in order to make the thing work, and say, no, that wouldn't work at all, and then find some of the comedy in that. I appreciate that Batman is played completely straight. And there's something inherently amusing about this Batman, because he's Diedrich Bader. He's the Brigham Bull Batman. So he's the so like he's one of the most wholesome Batmans we've ever had thrown in this world, and Bader is voicing him exactly the same, and
that's great.
That's kind of funny. I like that.
Bader's a great character actor.
Whenever anybody, what else do you know him from? I was surprised that you knew the name.
So Diedrich Bader, he was in Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
He was the trainer in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Also in.
I've heard interviews with him talking about that.
He's in Office Space. He's the neighbor Lawrence in Office Space.
And see, I think of him as voice actor. I forget that he's even on camera.
That's great. Yeah, no, I do like Diedrich Bader.
So there's something kind of like twisted and wrong about hearing his voice in this show.
Now that you mention it, I can totally tell that's him. But I was hearing these voices, and I was like, I recognize some of these voices, and Diedrich Bader and
Joker is Alan Tudyk, and he's fantastic.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, and he's been doing a lot of voiceovers lately. Obviously, you saw him as Danger Boat in The Tick, but he does a lot of voiceovers, and he does a lot of. I mean, he's in everything. As a character actor, and I love his take on the Joker. I think probably best thing, worst thing for me so far is we're just relying too much on swearing and raunchiness and hoping that will propel the show.
I can see that.
And yet, I also think that, like I said, that could start to fall away as we rely more on good storytelling, because there is a story here, and I think that there's some okay character work done, and I love the Poison Ivy Harley Quinn relationship.
Yes, I was
This
going to
is
talk about that
probably
too.
going to become my favorite Poison Ivy if I keep watching the show.
I thought she was great too.
I love her so much.
It was great Poison Ivy.
Best thing about the show is voice acting through and through. It's it's such good vocal performances and such interesting new takes on characters. This Harley Quinn, or excuse me, well, Harley Quinn's great, and she's like a more traditional Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we took, you didn't see this, but there's a really terrible Batman Harley Quinn movie called Batman Harley Quinn that is Bruce Timm basically trying to take what looks like the Bruce Timm universe and make it raunchy.
Okay.
And it doesn't work at all, and it has the most annoying crappy New Jersey accent Harley Quinn. It's really bad. This is like that if it knew what it was for sure and wanted to just be a raunchy thing, but didn't have an annoying Harley Quinn voice.
Okay.
But Poison Ivy is like if Daria was Poison Ivy.
Okay.
It's right. It's kind of that sort of thing. It's like that. It's like that understated, dry-witted '90s girl who has like all these like witticisms and interesting ways of looking at things that you've never thought of before.
I like how level she seems.
Yeah.
Honestly. And it's like she's a supervillain, and you know she's a supervillain. And at the same time, she's kind of interjecting logic into this crazy person.
Yeah, if Gordon is the funniest thing in this, she is the most interesting thing in this.
Okay, sure.
And I think that there's a lot of potential places to take her. I'm seeing a lot of potential in this show. Like,
certainly.
I don't think I like it yet, but I think I could be brought
I'll
there.
watch the next episode. Like, if you want to watch this show together, I'll watch it with you.
Yeah, well, not a huge commitment. I mean,
Sure.
short episodes. I don't know how many episodes the first season is getting, but
well, whenever it does, I'll watch it.
It's like a lot of streaming things right now, and DC Universe does this with everything. They don't drop everything at once. It's week to week. So
I still, as you know, I still prefer the week to week format than dropping everything at once, because even if some people can't make the week to week format and keep up with everybody else, I can't make the binge format. And I am never going to keep up with all my friends who talk about this stuff, so I'm always trying to avoid spoilers.
Well, and then
I feel like the week to week helps average that out a lot better.
It does. There's pros and cons to both.
Right.
The really nice thing about week to week, and I'm starting to appreciate it more and get more one over on it. The nice thing about week to week versus getting everything at once is if you have to wait, like you binge everything at once and you gotta wait 9 months.
Right.
You know, it's different than in the olden days when you and I were growing up.
And we can say that now.
We would watch a thing, 6-9 months out of the year, and then you just wait 3 months.
Right, summer break.
For the next season to start. And when we get to a new season, after I binged a thing when it came out, I have to watch it a second time, or I'm not going to remember very much of what happened in it.
Sure.
And so that you're right. That is a nice thing about that format. But anyway, so what other things did you appreciate about this?
I actually appreciated the
anything
artwork a lot.
Yeah.
It harkens back to kind of the 90s Batman stuff, and I really...
It does, but it's like a blend of that and like...
more modern Teen Titans stuff, I felt like.
Well, I was going to say a lot of other just like adult animation.
Oh, that's true too,
like,
yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of kind of Nickelodeon in this.
Sure, absolutely.
And it almost, like, the way it's paced and a little bit of that kind of multimedia thing that it's got going on, it's like it wants to harken back to web video, but be
okay,
like flash animation.
I like that,
but be more detailed than that, and like you can tell that there's actually some real art direction here, and there's some effort being made. Like, this is not lazy at all.
No, of course not. And I've seen some lazy stuff.
The lighting work is killer.
The lighting was definitely great. You were twirling your sign, by the way, but I'm going to land on I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
By the way, I had to
figured
put that up there.
I figured just watching this last night, if I ever showed this to you, you would dig this.
I definitely dug it, and I'm interested to see how they go from there. Like I said, I do believe, as you do, like, hope they tone down the swearing just a little bit, not too much, because I felt.
That's not because I'm a prude. It's just because I
understand that.
Too much.
I understand that. I don't want it to be reliant on that. I want it to be reliant on the story, and I appreciate the swearing in a more natural way that some people
and there's
operate.
places where that's timed so well it is really funny.
Oh, certainly. Well, especially like when Harley Quinn shows up again and the Joker's dropping like an F-bomb or an S-bomb.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, like why now?
Yeah,
or like, oh, how about that?
Yeah, a lot of the best moments of swearing is when somebody's just kind of talking under their breath.
Yeah, that was good too. But I also appreciated like the surprise moments where one of the characters gets surprised by an event that happens and they're like, come on.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I also really appreciate that we're not romanticizing the Joker Harley Quinn relationship, and like some of that is just premise where, and obviously the Birds of Prey movie is going to do this also. Like we also have a fantabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn, but with this. The premise is she's going to go off on her own and she's going to try to build her own criminal empire.
They set that up pretty well.
But you could have that and still, because I think a lot of Harley Quinn fans do this and it bothers me and I think it's a problem, romanticizing the abusive relationship, and that like there's something endearing about that, and this does not play that as endearing at all.
Right.
And
they even make a mention of that in there when Poison Ivy's like, you don't find this like, attractive, do you?
Yeah, and she still sort of does.
She's still kind of like, she's playing it off like she doesn't, but you can tell.
But that's played as what's wrong with her, right?
Right, exactly. Like she's crazy.
Yeah, and that's... And also, there's kind of two Harley Quinns in this, and I like that a lot. I like that, she does kind of wear as a mask her, like ditzy psychopath, like bounce around and be silly and kill people thing, but there is still a therapist in there, and we miss that a lot with Harley Quinn, and we don't always... I don't usually with Harley Quinn buy that she actually was a good therapist and a doctor. We go too far in modern comics a lot where we have to make her a super genius. And this doesn't make her a super genius. I really appreciate that.
Necessarily. Poison Ivy does say that she's the only one that ever got through to her, but I don't know that much about Harley Quinn. I mean, honestly, I'm limited to a few things here and there, and then Suicide Squad, which I didn't like Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's not good. So Harley Quinzel is Joker's therapist.
Okay.
In Arkham, and then he gets to her and turns her into a crazy person. She falls in love with him. And very often, we kind of just we either drop the therapist side and still say that she was a therapist, but you just never believe she possibly could have been, while at the same time, we can't decide just how crazy she is, right?
I feel like she should still be therapist.
We either do that, or we make her a super genius. We make her brilliant. And in this, it's almost like... it's not exactly this, but it's almost like multiple personalities. It's and with the scene where she's talking to the picture, you really kind of get that sense where there's this other version of her that's still in there.
Right, she's still a therapist,
yeah.
And I appreciated that.
And that's part of where I really appreciated the voice work too, because that actress has two different Harley Quinns.
Yeah, and she's also got two different looks in this. You can see where she starts out and where she's going with the secondary look.
And I wish we could stay with the original costume, but that's just me. I don't like modern Harley Quinn. But
I didn't really like it either. I felt it went to Suicide Squad on the costume that she was with at the end of this episode. But I will say, so I want to tell you the thing.
But that's
that
just
I
modern Harley Quinn, right? Like that's not just Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad did that.
From what I know,
yeah, but I'm just letting you know.
Yes, and I can see that. But I want to say one thing that I really liked about this episode and one thing that I didn't really like about this episode.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go a little bit different than usual here. The thing that I didn't like about it most was I thought it was too short. I would have appreciated like 15 more minutes of that.
Ooh, I didn't have that at all. I was actually kind of impressed with how much it managed to do in 20 minutes.
I was impressed with how much it did in the time frame, yes, and it did quite a bit. But I
also didn't like it as well as you, so I wouldn't have wanted to sacrifice it.
I kind of wanted just a few more. Maybe not 15, maybe 5-7 more minutes. I don't know, but
see, when there was still about 5 minutes left, I thought it was over. So
really,
yeah.
And then the thing that I like best about this, I had it on the tip of my tongue, and now it is gone. But it's somewhere. I'll think of it again. You got anything else on?
You just can't remember your favorite thing?
I just can't remember what the
was it like just one particular scene?
We touched on it. Oh,
yeah.
It was the gags. It was the particular gags, and like I'm going to say one thing that happened in the episode specifically was where Harley Quinn, as much as we know when it happens, she gets dropped into a vat of acid.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that it's margarita mix.
That's really funny.
that type of joke, and to see, you know, what
And that's
the
the kind of thing I
Joker
want more in this, 'cause that's clever.
what the Riddler is torturing them with, what they think is acid.
I love how absurd that is.
It was absolutely absurd, and it worked.
And that goes with this whole idea of the Riddler, like, being like a funny Riddler, and everybody thinking he's the funniest villain. And I don't love that take, but that was amusing.
It was amusing, and I mean, this is a different take on some of these characters. So I'm down to see where it goes. Honestly,
It's growing on me the more I'm thinking about it. It's not.
give it a few
one
episodes,
thing,
and we'll
but-
see what happens. I mean, it could turn south for me. It could turn better for you.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, who
but as
knows?
far as the first episode goes, I'm digging it.
Certainly recommending it to people that like raunchy adult stuff, and obviously this goes without saying to keep your kids out of the room, and like
Definitely.
if you've not seen this as mature lowercase m and raunchy as you think this might be, it might be more than that. It's not quite. You won't know what I'm talking about. It's not quite El Super Beasto, but it reminded me of that a little bit. So. Anyway, if you did see this, leave your comments and let us know what you thought of it. And thanks for talking about it with me, Brandon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me over to watch it. That was hilarious.
No problem. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. As always, we sure appreciate it. We'll see you again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
Later, folks.